Good morning, all of you. So if you'll see here, the next chapter which we are going to study in this chemistry is carbon and its compounds. So now, if this chapter is included fully, then it is going to be very tough for us. It means in the sense of lot of things we need to memorize and lot of things we need to get practice also. But it is deleted until we have nomenclature. Nomenclature also you can see, if you open your textbook, you are having a nomenclature of carbon compounds. From there, it is fully deleted. Only we have homologous series. Till there, it is the syllabus for this academic year, term 2. So now if it comes to here, carbonates compounds, it is not a very completely new topic. We people are very familiar with this element because it is the most common element which is being a part of everybody's life. So that is why we no need to struggle much. If you understand very clearly, then definitely you people can proceed. Even beginning, so many things already we have been studied the long back in class 8 and all. The only few things will come new. That is also when you will listen very carefully, and if you understand the things very carefully, then you will never forget, and no need to memorize much things also till homologous series. So I will try to make it even more simplified for our purpose. So listen carefully and try to note it down whenever I will say some things. So this is a most one now where the people can ask more MCQs and as well as descriptive questions also. So now each and every point in these carbonates compounds can turn into a MCQ. So now first coming to our chapter name called as carbon and its compounds. So in our daily life, if you see, everybody, including me, you, your parents, your relatives, every living organism, you can see in our daily life, we people as a humans, we often use hundreds of compounds which are made up of carbon. More than hundreds of compounds we will use in our daily life. For example, you can take, are you people are taking food? Please respond me. Yes? Are you people are surviving without food or with food? Anybody? At least say yes or no. Nobody.
With food.
Yeah. So food materials if you take. So we people will survive with only food. Yes, by consumption of food. So now if you take here the food materials such as if you take sugar, pulses, grains, fruits, vegetables, tea, coffee. These all at least few things we people are consuming. May not all, but definitely few. Coffee, etc., etc. Everything is made up of what? Is made up of what, guys? Made up of
Carbon.
So definitely one of the element in that compounds will be a carbon. That is what you have to remember. Suppose if you go to the fuels, most of us were having a vehicles, at least scooty or bike or maybe car or maybe even etc., etc. So now if you take the fuels which we are using for our vehicles like coal, wood, LPG, CNG, and petroleum, all the products of petroleum, everything they are made up of what, guys? Everything they are made up of carbon compounds. Understand? So all are made up of one of the major element is carbon. Carbon is combining with some other thing, then only they are forming this all the fuels of this petrol, coal, LPG, CNG, diesel. That is what all the petroleum products we can see. And also you can see, we people are all wearing clothes. Is it yes, guys? Please respond. So our clothes, you know, people. So we are wearing different kind of clothes. Can you able to say what kind of clothes we people are wearing? Anybody? So we people are wearing cotton cloths. Yes or no? Wool, silk, nylon, polyester, like man-made cloth, like man-made polymers, natural polymers, etc., etc. All these things like nylon, polyesters, etc. Everything they contains what? They are all made up of carbon compounds. Do you understand? So even you can see, we cannot even think our life without carbon and its compounds. Is it yes, guys? Please respond. Because whatever the things we are consuming in our daily life, everything, whatever we are using, whatever we are consuming, everything is carbon and its compounds only. So that is why we people even cannot think if carbon is not existed. That is what the importance of carbon in our daily life. So why we should study about this carbon and its compounds, particularly because of this importance. So it is a part of our life, and even we people, our body is also made up of carbon and its compounds. So that is the reason why does carbon form such a huge variety of compounds. How it is forming, you can go any extreme in our life, definitely carbon and its compounds will be a part of it. So that is why we should know why it is forming these many varieties of compounds, how it is forming these many varieties of compounds. We have to know, we have to know the answer. So that is why we shall learn in this chapter on the basis of electronic configuration how this carbon should be a like in the sense of either it is we cannot say what is the valency of carbon. In last chapter I have taught you what is the valency of carbon. Anybody can say?
4.
So
4
valency
plus
of
4 or
carbon
minus
is
4.
4. So as we know, atomic number of carbon.
Valency.
Yes, atomic number of carbon is how much? Atomic number of carbon is 6.
6.
Understanding, and its valency is 2, 4. So 2, 4 in the sense of how many cells it is having? K and L. Is it yes, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So we have only K and L cells. So this is what the electronic configuration of, what is this? Electronic configuration of carbon. Is it yes or no? So that is. Now you can see here, as we know, if it is having a valency of 4, as I said, 1, 2, 3, it is works like a metal. 5, 6, 7, it will be works like a what? Non-metal. Are you understanding? So now, carbon is considered as a non-metal. Carbon is considered as a what, guys? Non-metal, but its valency is 4. So that is why even carbon should be considered as a metalloid because of its 4 valency electrons in its valency cell. But carbon is a typically what it is, guys? Carbon is considered as a non-metalloid because of its 4 electrons in its valency cell, but is purely it is what it, guys? Purely it is a non-metal. But basically 4 electrons are present. We should consider it is a metalloid. But it is not a metalloid. It is what? It is a non-metal. That is what you have to remember. Now, so as I said one point. So carbon is a what? Carbon is one of the element. Is it yes, guys? Please respond. Carbon is an element. What kind of element it is? Elmati? So carbon is a non-metal. What is this? A carbon is a non-metal, and the symbol of carbon, what is the symbol of carbon, guys? Anybody can say? Symbol of carbon is capital C. That is what you have to remember. Now, this carbon word, how they have been chosen? This carbon word, it has been derived from the Latin word called as carbo. What is the Latin word which has been derived? Carbo. Are you understanding? So carbo means in the sense of, in Latin word, Latin name, carbo means what it is? What it is? Coal. What do you mean by that?
1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 are the valencies, sir.
What Ashika?
Sir, up you have written also that 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 are these the valencies, sir?
Yes, it is the valency. 1, 2, 3 is the valency of metals. 5, 6, 7 is the valency of non-metals. Exchanging, formation of ionic compounds we have studied in the last chapter. Do you remember? Metals and non-metals. Yes, but if it is basically if valency of 4, then we should consider as a metalloid. But it is not applicable in the case of carbon. Carbon is purely non-metal. Do you understand, Ashika?
Yes,
We
sir.
should
Thank you,
consider
sir.
as a metalloid, but even though it has a 4 electrons in its valency cell, it is typically a non-metal. That is what you have to remember. Okay. So now this carbon symbol C and its name has been derived from a Latin word called as carbo. Carbo means what, guys? What do you mean by carbo?
Coal.
Means coal. So what kind of coal in the sense of a coal has high percentage of carbon. That is the meaning of carbo. Are you understand? It is a coal, but what kind of coal? It must be having higher percentage of carbon. Higher percentage of carbon. That is what we should call it as carbo, and that is why it has been derived from that, and it is called as carbon only. So now, if you'll observe very carefully, these carbon is existed in free state as well as in combined state. So what do you mean by free state? Can anybody say? Even last class also I have taught you, last chapter also. So this carbon is existence. Now carbon is existing free state and as well as in combined state. What do you mean by free state and what do you mean by combined state? Can anybody say? Please respond. So free state in the sense of purely in the form of carbon, it is existed, not combined with any element. But if you take combined state in the sense of it is in the form of compounds. It is in the form of what, guys? It is in the form of compounds, means combined with the other elements. That is what we can say combined state. Now if it comes to here, free state in the sense of not gas. Somebody is saying gas. Nitinath, not. It is a purely solid. Okay. Free state. It is a solid non-metal. Please remember all of you. So now if you observe very carefully, the earth crust, if you'll go inside the earth, that is only which is called as earth crust. Are you understanding? Earth crust, you can see it will only contains 0.02% of carbon. This is the most important thing. This value is only important for us. So inside the earth crust, what is the percentage of carbon?
0.02.
Yes. So usually the carbon present in the earth crust and as well as atmosphere, if you consider, the amount is very small. So now if you go earth crust, it is 0.02%. And you can see in atmosphere, this is actually free state. Now if you consider in atmosphere, the well-known gas which is combined with the carbon. Can anybody guess that gas? Please respond. Carbon dioxide. Very good. So in atmosphere, it is found in the form of carbon dioxide. So as we are already familiar with the percentage of carbon dioxide, that is what it is combined state. So the percentage of carbon dioxide in atmosphere, only how much, guys? It is 0.03%. Please remember. Can you able to understand what I'm saying? So in free state under the earth crust, the percentage is 0.02%. And an atmosphere in the combined state, combined with oxygen, the percentage of carbon dioxide is 0.03. Understand? Now, the percentage of carbon is very low in nature, even though it will form a very large number of compounds due to its unique properties. So what is that properties? Even though the percentage is extremely small, but how it is forming these millions of compounds? What is the special characteristics of it? And these all the things we will study in this chapter. So if you consider, is it we people are considered as a living organisms or non-living organisms? Can anybody say, please?
Living organisms.
Living. Is it yes or no? So now if you see, all the living organisms are made up of carbon compounds only. And if you take all the non-living organisms, for example, like fossil fuels. What do you mean by fossil fuels? 8th class, particularly few students, when you are in 8th class, I have only explained this. What do you mean by fossil fuels? Anybody can say? Which is formed under deep inside the earth by the decomposition of what? A dead and decaying matter of plants and animals. Do you remember? Yeah, plants and animal bodies. That is only called as fossil fuels. Under deep inside the earth, understanding, at high pressure and temperature, a decomposition of, what is that? Decomposition of dead and decaying matter of what, guys? Decaying matter of Plants and animals. Plants and animals is only called as fossil fuels. So as we know, example, can anybody say what do you mean by examples? Examples of fossil fuels? All the petroleum products. Is it yes or no? So petroleum products as well as natural gas, CNG, etc., etc. So now these fossil fuels, if will burn in oxygen, then they will produce what, guys? Last class also, methane, petrol and all. If will burn in the presence of oxygen, burning or combustion, then what they will produce? They will produce carbon dioxide. Is it yes or no? So that is why you can see all the fossil fuels burns in oxygen. Yes, they will produce carbon dioxide, which proves that fossil fuels also made up of what, guys? Fossil fuels also made up of carbon only.
Carbon.
You understand? Made up of carbon. That is what you have to remember. So now you can see, in spite of even it is present very small amount of carbon available in nature, but a carbon element have a very immense importance in every day, every sphere of life, every part of our life. That is why we people ourselves even made up of carbon. That is why we can say all the things called as organic compounds. So whatever the compounds made up of, understand? So carbon, they are called as what, guys? Organic compounds. Are you clear? The compounds made up of carbon is called as what? What it is? Please organic compound. So if we'll take, what do you mean by these organic compounds? For example, if we'll take all the living things, plants, animals are made up of carbon based compounds. So these only called as, what we should call it, guys? Are organic compounds. All living things, plants, animals, etc., etc., everything is made up of organic compounds. Now, one simple definition I will give you regarding organic compounds. Please remember, whenever a substance, if it will burn, are you understand, guys? If it will burn any substance, then if it will produce ash, are you understanding? Finally, it will leaves a black substance. What is that called as? It will leaves a black substance, then that is called as organic compound. Are you understand, Nitinath, what I am saying, Varshini? So any substance, if will burn, understanding, and it will leaves a black substance finally, then that is only called as, what we used to call? Organic compounds. So whatever the substances in our daily life, if you are seeing, which will leaves you a black substance, then that all the things are called as organic compounds. So that is why we ourselves and plants and other animals, everything made up of carbon based compounds only. So these all are called as what we used to call organic compounds. So that is why first the definition which we are going to write in this chapter is, please all of you keep reading, organic compounds. Organic compounds. Please write it. What do you mean by organic compounds? The compounds of carbon, present in living organisms, present in living organisms. What do you mean by living organisms, guys? Plants and animals. Understand? All living things, plants and animals. Living organisms are called organic compounds. Organic compounds. That is what do you mean by organic compounds? Are you clear? So now you can see in our daily life. Suppose are you people are writing in our are you writing in where now presently? Where are you writing now?
Paper, sir.
Paper. So now this paper you can take. Paper is made up of what? Paper is made up of what? Basically, we people know. Please respond me. Paper is, yes, paper is made up of what? From the plants. Plants in the sense of particularly we know that What is that called as? Paper is made up of what? Paper is made up of cellulose, but cellulose is a what compound? Cellulose is a carbon compound. So that's all. So we people are very, we need, even student life, a paper having a very important role. So this is also made up of what? Carbon compounds only. So if we take in our home, definitely you are having a furniture. What kind of furniture? Wood furniture. Yes or no? Wooden furniture, which also contains what? Cellulose only. This is also what? Carbon compound. So if we take anything, do you understand? So we use majority of carbon compounds only, that all the things are called as organic compounds. For if we take, for example, bowls. Do you have frying pans, knives? Please respond. Bowls, frying pans, knives, and even glass or clay. So you can say things made up of metals. You can take bowls, frying pans, and the knives. You can say this is all metals. It is made up of. If you take glass or clay, if you take mugs, water jugs, serving dishes, cups, and all, it is made up of clay and glass. Same way, if you take other things, other than this, if you go, plastic mugs, furniture, soap, detergents, shampoo. We are every day, you people are doing the face wash. Yes or no? We are using bath soap. Is it yes, guys? Bath soap, even face wash creams, book, food, medicines. Definitely something we people are consuming in daily life. These all the things made up of what? Carbon only. Everything, whatever we are using in our daily life, coming from morning, even diamond, yes, Karthikeyan. These all the things, everything we used to call as made up of carbon compounds only. So most of them, most of them are made up of carbon and their compounds because they produce carbon dioxide and water and burning. So if we'll burn any substance in the presence of oxygen, if they will produce what, guys? Carbon compounds. Carbon compound, if we'll burn in the presence of oxygen, what is the products we used to get, guys? Anybody can say? Carbon dioxide plus we used to get what? Water. So then these all the substances are made up of carbon compounds only. If any substance, if it will burn with the presence of oxygen, if it will leaves you carbon dioxide plus water vapor, then that is known as carbon compounds only. So, sir, how I can verify? I want to verify, sir, either it is a carbon compound or not. So we have a method to describe the carbon, either the carbon dioxide is releasing or not. That is what first chapter we have studied. Do you remember, guys? If you pass a carbon dioxide gas through some water called as lime water, it will turn into something. What is that? Can anybody say, please? Respond me. If you pass a carbon dioxide gas,
calcium carbonate.
calcium carbonate, that will turns into milky. Do you remember? If you pass the carbon dioxide gas through the lime water, it will turns into milky, and again excess carbon dioxide. Yes, calcium bicarbonate. That is only called as lime water. Yes or no? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and again excess carbon dioxide if will pass, then again what will happen? It will form calcium hydrocarbonate. Yes. So that is. So please all of you remember, the presence of carbon in compound can be detected by only its burning test. What is the test? Nitish? Burning test. Are you understanding? So either the compound is a carbon or carbon compound or not. How we can identify means in the sense of what is the test we will proceed, guys? Burning test. Understand? So when an organic compound burns in oxygen, so it will produce as carbon dioxide, and which will turns lime water into milky. That is what you have to remember. So, and any kind of organic compound which is made up of carbon will burns, burns in the presence of oxygen. It will produce a CO2, and this CO2 turns what? CO2 turns lime water into milky. What is that? Lime water into milky. So this is what we people have been studied in the even first chapter. And also it will produce as what, guys? Also it will produce as water. For example, let me take methane. This is the first chapter also we have studied this equation. What is the methane formula? Anybody? CH4. CH4. Methane. If it will react with the oxygen, you have to say the balanced equation fastly. React
CO2
with the
plus
balanced oxygen. So then we can see it will produce carbon dioxide
H2O.
plus H2O, water. So as we know, something is imbalanced here. So try to balance fastly. Let me see who will balance.
Sir, 2, sir.
Anybody?
Oh, no, sir.
Others? Try to communicate.
2,
See,
sir. 2
H2O,
H2O, sir.
your line
2O2.
is silent,
Two
like a
H2O,
dumb person. It is not
2
good. Yes, very good.
2H2O,
So CH4 plus 2O2. 2O2 will give you CO2 plus 2H2. Yes, guys. So now here, which element we have to balance first? Anybody can say? Nitish, Humaira? Which element we should balance first here? Not oxygen.
Hydrogen, sir.
If you try to
Hydrogen.
balance oxygen, you people will get confusion only. Why? Oxygen will be here 2. Oxygen will
Hydrogen.
yes,
sir.
oxygen here will be 2, here will be 3. So if we balance hydrogen, it will be balanced. Why? Hydrogens here we have 4, but here only 2. So we will multiply with the 2. Then automatically oxygen also we can balance very easily. Are you understand, guys? That is what I am saying. Now, yes, these carbon dioxide we can utilize in which equation? So if we'll use that carbon dioxide and if we'll pass through the lime water, what is lime water? Calcium hydroxide. Understand? So lime water also we can call it as what? Quicklime or slakul lime? Calcium hydroxide.
Liquid lime, sir.
Slakul lime. That is everything. Sir, term 1 completed. I will forget all the things means it won't be accepted. We used to get what? CaCO3. Understanding? CaCO3 plus H2O. Is it yes, Nitna? Very good. Now, this is what you have to remember. So even state is also important. Can anybody say state? Calcium hydroxide is aqueous state. Carbon dioxide is gaseous state. CaCO3 is what? Solid state. And this is liquid state. Okay. Now, again, if excess carbon dioxide, if excess CO2 passes, what will happen? If excess CO2 passes, yes, very good. So CaCO3, understanding, again, if excess CO2 is passes along with the water, it will turns into what? Calcium. Again, it will turns into colorless. It will turns into colorless. CaHCO3 twice. Calcium hydrogen carbonate. That is only which is called as aqueous state. Understanding? It will turns into what? Colorless. Understand, everybody? Colorless. So, what is the only test to identify the carbon dioxide? Sorry, carbon is it a carbon compound or not? We used to follow with which test? Burning. You understand? Any doubt, anybody you can ask me. This is what is called as detecting test of carbon and its compounds. So what is the test? Burning test. So please all of you write it. So till here, everybody again write it. Any doubt, anybody you can ask. Everything should be there, including formula. What is this formula name? Carbon. What is this? Calcium hydrogen carbonate. Please remember that. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So that is what you have to remember. So now we will go with the next concept called as carbon always forms which bonds? Can anybody say? So as we know, what is the, anybody can say what is the atomic number of carbon? Atomic number of carbon is 6 and the electronic configuration is how much, guys? Electronic configuration is 2, 4. So as we know, 2 and 4. So if valency electrons are 4, as I said, it will form covalent compounds or ionic compounds. So here, whenever the valency is 4, remember always it will form the compounds only by sharing. What is that? Only by sharing of electrons. No donation or no receiving. Are you understanding? No receiving or donating electron. Donation of electrons only by Only by what, guys? Only by sharing of electrons. Sharing of electrons. So only by sharing of electrons. Let me see, somebody can say, only by sharing of electrons, which compounds will form? Covalent compounds or ionic compounds?
Covalent compound, sir.
That is why, please all of you kindly remember, carbon always will form covalent bonds only, because it will form only by sharing of electrons. It will never form by receiving or donating electrons. So that is why the next concept which we are going to study is carbon always forms. What it will forms, guys? Carbon always forms covalent bonds. That is. Please keep heading. Carbon always forms covalent bonds. Till here, have you written everything? Please respond me. Have you completed?
Yes, sir.
Yes? Clear, guys?
Sir.
So now you can
Yes,
see.
sir.
So as we know, what is the atomic number of carbon? Please note it down. Atomic number of carbon is how much? 6.
6.
Understand? So the electronic configuration of carbon is Kl 2,4. 2,4. So as we know, in outermost shell, what is the valency cell of carbon? What is the valency cell of carbon? L shell. So L shell, it is having 4 electrons in the outermost shell. So since we know carbon atom has 4 electrons in its outermost shell, it should either lose 4 electrons or gain 4 electrons. So inert electronic configuration and become stable. So that is why carbon atom is very small, due to which its outermost electrons are strongly held by the nucleus. So it cannot share the electrons. It cannot lose the electrons. It cannot gain the electrons. Understand, everyone? Only it can share the electrons. Now, one more important point I'm saying. This carbon atom appears very small because the valency electrons neither donating or not receiving to gain the inert gas electronic configuration, because the electrons which are present here, even next chapter we will study, they are very tightly or very strongly held by the nucleus. Means nucleus is holding these four electrons very tightly. So that is the reason the structure is, understanding, very small, because it is not freely leaving. Nucleus is exerting huge amount of force, strongly held by the nucleus. That is why it is not possible to receiving electrons or by, understanding, donating electrons. Only it will form the compounds by what, guys? Only it will form the compounds by sharing of electrons. Are you clear, everyone? So that is why it is not possible to remove 4 electrons from a carbon atom to get the inert gas electron arrangement. Same way, it is also not possible to add as many as 4 electrons to get the inert gas electronic configuration. So only reason is what, guys? Carbon atom is very small. Carbon atom is very small. Why carbon atom is very small? Anybody can say? Due to which the outermost electrons are strongly held by the nucleus. Please, all of you write that point. Carbon atom is very small. Carbon atom is very small due to, Arvind, I understand, Arvind? Due to which its outermost electrons, outermost electrons are strongly held by whom, guys? Held by the nucleus. So that is why, what is happening because of this, Nitish? Because of this, what is happening? So it cannot donate the electrons, it cannot receive the electrons. Are you clear? So neither donating nor receiving. Only what is possible with this? It is possible only sharing electrons. So that is why, to get the inert gas electronic configuration to become stable, instead of gaining 4 electrons or instead of losing 4 electrons, it will acquire the inert gas structure of 8 electrons in their outermost shell only by what, guys? Only by sharing electron. So that is why only by sharing electrons, it will attains what? It will attains 8 electronic configuration. 8 electrons means what it is, anybody can say. If it is 8 electrons in its inner outermost cell, then it will become what? It will become
Octet.
stable in nature. Octave
Neon,
rule, stable in nature. Yes.
Octet rule.
Only by sharing electrons, it will get 8 electrons in its valency cell. In its valency cell. Dilipan, are you understanding? Valency cell to attain inert gas electronic configuration. Inert gas electronic configuration. So please all of you write it. This is what here. Any doubt, anybody you can ask. Are you clear, Ashika? Yes or no? Please respond.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So now, as we know, carbon always forms what bonds, Nitanath? Carbon always will forms
Covalent bonds.
covalent bonds. Are you clear? So carbon always will forms covalent bonds. Now you can notice it here. So as we know, carbon